Testing one.
That was Dennis. Native American prayers are usually short and to the point. They don't spend a lot of time begging God to help them. They put their prayer out and leave it. God heard it and they know that. And they walk away from it and leave it. This song is a song called Wikakoki Olawan. It means they call them. And we're calling in the grandfathers here. It looks like I'm up here all by myself on this stage, but I'm not. The grandfathers are all around me. They all have their drums and their rattles. They're all part of the experience. And you shut your eyes, you can see the grandfathers with me. Wikokokopi. Well, this is a song we used to do in choir. And Craig Corona used to sing this with me when I played it, but Craig's in California now, so it's called Take My Mother Home. I call it Take My Brother Home too, so that's what it's about today. This is a song called Wasipi Olawan. It's a spirit's dance. Wanagi Wasipi. You've all been to powwows or you've seen on TV Native Americans dancing with their eagle feathers on their arms and their snake bells around their ankles. And when they dance, they get into the dance. As they get into the dance, as the music begins, they start to feel the music, and then they get into the dance. So this is what this song represents. Wanagi Wasipi. Well, this is the last song I'm going to play. It's called Wanagi Kaglapi. It means the spirits depart.
Dear friends, family, we are gathered here today to reaffirm our faith in eternal life as we bless this loved one, Dennis Drake, on his way into his next experience in living. Let us pray. Almighty God, creator, sustainer, giver, and receiver of all life, it is our prayer that this service will bring a measure of understanding to our minds, a measure of peace to our hearts, a measure of hope as we seek to realize what Dennis knows for certain now, that the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall be with me all the days of my life, for I dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever. Amen. Dennis was born on December 6th, 1951, and he passed from this earthly sojourn on February 16th, 2021. He was just 27 years old. I'm saying that because most of you know Dennis, and Dennis and I used to quip back and forth all the time. In his last weeks, when I was talking to him on the phone, he requested that no one come to see him. And I said, why? And he said, because I want to remain just like the song, Forever Young. So I thought I'd throw that in. Yeah, actually, the ship sailed when he grew the white beard. It was over. You know, what else could you do? But that was Dennis. And he was a bit of a wise guy. He and I would always have these quipping encounters. He would say things like he'd show up for the second service, and he'd say, okay, I'll throw an extra buck in the offering bag if you keep it short. And at one time, he started a running gag between us, because at one point he said, I always bring a $10 bill to the Sunday service for the offering. And he says, I know it disturbs people sitting beside me when I have to stop the process and retrieve 9 from the bag. So he would always show up and say, is it going to be a $10 talk today? He said, I'm waiting for one. So we had that kind of, and not only that, he had that kind of relationship with most of his friends and family, I know. He was just a cut-up in his own mind. He was just an original, wonderful person that, you know, he wasn't the type of person set into a particular mold. He was funny and bright and did things his way. And so we're here to appreciate that about him. I could go on and tell you many, many wild stories. You're going to get some of them from the people that he shared the choir with. So, but I'm inclined, I have to share some spiritual insights. And because the Master of Life actually said and stated that life is more than the body and exists beyond the body. We are not here then to mourn Dennis's passing as though he is no more. We're here more or less to celebrate the idea that he's going on to his next experience in living. And so, as we open our minds to that idea, we can begin to understand the essential unity truth that we are all eternal human beings. In other words, we are eternal souls going through a human experience. For whatever gains or losses we make in this life, they are, you know, what the soul will require and receive because of the lives we live. And so I want to go on to say that we have been given the idea and the truth about these rather limited lives that we live, thinking that they're everything and all there is. We should take some solace from what the Master of Life actually said. And you can read this in the Gospel of John, chapter 14. Let not your heart be troubled. Believe in God. Believe also in me. In my Father's house are many rooms. If it were not so, I would have told you. In my Father's house are many rooms. In some of your Gospels, it has many mansions. It's a reference to the many dimensions of consciousness beyond this finite one in which we have our physical lives. There is so much more to life beyond these finite experiences through the five senses. Science today even has instruments that can measure dimensions of light and sound that are beyond our physical apprehension. We cannot grasp them. Well, what goes on in those dimensions of light and sound? More life goes on. And so it is a beautiful statement. It's also written, "My peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you, not as the world gives, do I give unto you this peace. Never let your hearts be troubled or afraid. I go to prepare a place for you, that where I am, you will be also." Speaking about this peace that surpasses the understanding of our human experience. His resurrection from the dead is a message to all of us that we go on in life. And we go on to learn that his life is really an expression of the divine nature within all of us. And that nature rises in the end beyond the limitations of the world, which you could refer to as a crucifixion. And that nature goes on within all of us, for all of us. It's also written by the apostle, "There is one Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of us all, who is above all and through all and in all." This is an emphatic statement by the apostle. There is one God and Father of us all, who is above all and through all and in all. It transcends all man-made boundaries, all natural boundaries, all religious boundaries, all racial and cultural boundaries. Regardless of what we think, we are all brothers and sisters in the one grand intelligence that is this creation ongoing. That's what we call to understand. So I have more that I can say. If there's a space to say it, I may share it with you, but I was told to be brief. And certainly Dennis would want me to be brief. So I might collect that extra $1 after all. But just so you know who we're dealing with, I want to share this video with you from one of our Christmas shows, which reveals Dennis as he truly is, as one of the kings in the Three Kings. Can we have the lights out over there? Can you turn that light out over there?
We three kings of glory and power, merry kids with feathers apart, gilded mountain, soaring mountain, following down the star. Oh,
It's okay, it's okay.
wonder, star of night, star of royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, guide us to thy perfect light. Born a king on Bethlehem's plain, gold I bring to crown him again. King forever, ceasing never over us all to reign. Oh, star of wonder, star of night, star of royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, guide us to thy perfect light. Frankincense you offer have high, incense on the evening night, prayer and praising, pomp and praising, worshiping God most high. Oh, star of wonder, star of light, star of royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, guide us to thy perfect light.
Okay, who we got going on here now? All right. Okay, the choir is going to sing. This is a special request from Dennis himself. have a slide presentation now and get in touch with some of the photos involving Dennis. Okay, oh, they're going to play now? Okay. Right.
Well, Lou and Arnie and Rob had all been talking separately that, you know, every single music party, music jam, anywhere, Dennis wanted to perform this song. And this is the perfect juxtaposition to the beautiful hymn that we just sang, as would be
What's
perfect
your language?
which would be vintage Dennis.
Vintage Dennis. Here we go.
Mustang Sally, guess you better slow that Mustang down. Guess you better slow that Mustang down. Been running all over town. Ooh. Guess you gotta put your flat feet back on the ground. All right, ladies, and everybody sing along now. All you wanna do is ride around, Sally. Ride, Sally, ride. All you wanna do is ride around, Sally. Ride, Sally, ride. All you wanna do is ride around, Sally. Ride, Sally, ride. All you wanna do is ride around, Sally. Ride, Sally, ride. One of these early mornings, I'm gonna be wiping those weeping eyes. Yeah.
I brought, well, I brought you a brand new Mustang. Talk about 1965. Now you come round singing a woman. Girl, you'll let me drive Mustang Sally. You know you better slow your Mustang down. All right. Baby, running all over town. Ooh, I guess you gotta put your flat feet on the ground.
Oh, I miss Lou Collins. Do it. weeping eyes.
Okay, we have a bit of a eulogy coming up. Scott, are you going to be in on this?
He's been warned.
He's been warned, okay.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I'm Dennis's daughter, Nicole. You know, coming up with the words to describe the life and meaning of a man like my dad, it seemed impossible. His presence is more than can be defined by language or spoken word. I'm guessing many others who have been in these shoes have felt this way. If you knew Dennis Drake, then you knew. He was a man of simple tastes and complex thought. He was a man of unbelievable steadiness. In the time that I've spent without him, I sometimes fear my memory cannot possibly hold all the stories, the moments, and that remarkable presence. In those times, I speak to him out loud until his life reaches its full resolution, until I know my connection with him will never change or waver. I tried to capture for all of you here the things that most remind me of his heart, and to keep it short, because that's what Dad would have wanted. In fact, he told me while dictating his wishes shortly before his death, yes, dictating, for those of you who wondered who picked the set list, he said he didn't want me to let anybody go on and on during the open mic. So, consider yourself warned, and don't be surprised if the spirit renders you speechless. I think the best way to capture my dad is in the way that he showed up, the people he loves, and the convictions he held close. My dad had his own dialect and code of conduct. He made up nicknames for everybody. If you were gifted a nickname, it was a sign he really liked you, or something on the other side of like. In fact, shortly before his passing, he nicknamed his ER doctor Dr. Doom, and then he told all the nurse staff that it was me who had actually coined that nickname. As a result of who he was, he had a wonderful group of devoted friends, many of which are here today, and also staff at the hospital that told me how much they enjoyed him. Growing up with my dad was a great adventure. He truly loved life, and that was reflected in everything he did and the way he chose to live it. He embraced fatherhood, spending summers at home with me, hiking, camping, and going to car shows. He even learned how to put my hair in a ponytail for church, so I would look nice. He was a believer in experiences and not things. He was a fan of the sentiment, if you were old enough to ask the question, then you might just be old enough to hear the answer. This, of course, resulted in a few colorful conversations, including the time that I went to kindergarten informed of the real way babies were made. My dad was the first to show up at my house, the last to leave, and the one who dropped everything to be present when I needed him. If he was a dedicated and devoted father, he was even more of a dedicated and devoted grandfather. He was at all of their events and celebrated their milestones, big and small. He took time to go at my children's pace, seeing the world through their eyes. When my daughter, Layla, started saying the phrase, "This is the best day ever," my dad took to it and repeated it every day until the day that he died. Layla's list of her grandpa is as follows. Do you want to say it?
I love Grandpa. He is kind. He is loving. He is the best. I love, love, love Grandpa.
Okay, Jude's gonna go off script, y'all, so no promises.
I love him so much.
Dad's commitment to my kids' creativity and growth, I hope it will serve as a reminder for them in times of doubt, pain, and uncertainty, just as it has for me. He was a lifelong learner, a deep thinker and an overthinker, a poet, and someone who saw the face of God in nature. He was devoted to family and friends, and cars, motorcycles, and music. I try to bring forward life as he would want, devoted to my family, grounded in spirit, steady and gracious in love, and leaning into the experiences that nurture my soul. And of course, in each moment, showing up with dignity, grace, and grit, because each day may truly be the best day ever. For those of you who would like to take some of his remains to nurture your plants, we do have some in the back. He had a liquid cremation. There's instructions with it. So for those of you who want to have part of him with you and part of him giving back to nurture the soil, let me know if you have any questions on that. And now I believe, Abel, you're up.
All right. So, my name is, first of all, I will try and keep this short, because I can go on forever to talk about Dennis. For you, those of you who don't know, my name is Abel Wesley Drake. Stop, please. I took my wife's last name. I did this for two reasons. One, my wife loved her last name and didn't want to change it. She is a Drake through and through. And number two, I'm not so close with my father. But I was very close to Dennis. So this way I can honor him, and we'd all have the same last name. This turned out to be one of the best decisions I've ever made. I am so thankful and proud to be a Drake. I am so glad my kids are Drakes. There's a lot of responsibility that comes with being a Drake. And you have to have a lot of patience to deal with at least a couple Drakes. Well, the first time I met Dennis was actually here in this church on Easter Sunday, 2010. I not only got the pleasure of meeting Dennis that day, I also got to meet Scott and a couple of the other men from the choir that knew Nicole pretty much her whole life. And strangely, they all told me the same thing Dennis did. You better take care of her and be respectful. Not sure if that was planned or just coincidence. I soon began to see more of Dennis as I dated Nicole. We went to car shows in Golden and spent time at his place in Coal Creek. I somehow got tricked into doing firewood for him every fall. If you guys know Dennis, he always took the cheaper way out. So instead of buying firewood, we chopped it down from wherever he could find and hauled it in his truck. He also liked to joke that he worked faster than I did, but I didn't like to do that, so I didn't get good at anything I didn't like doing. Sorry, I'm getting off script a little bit. I'm not sure if any of you have ever worked with Dennis, but he is very particular in how he wants things done. I call it the Drake way, but I'm so glad to do those things with him. Something he passed down to his daughter, that is the Drake way, and being particular, maybe a little type A, not sure. Over the years, I got to do projects with him. I got to listen to all his stories, and oh man, his stories. They're pretty awesome. He definitely lived his life to the fullest. And I got to see his values, and he valued family over everything. Dennis would drop everything no questions asked for his family, no matter what. We had a water leak one time at our house. He was there within 45 minutes. I had to go to work. He was there all day cutting holes in our ceiling and checking it out. He showed me what a father should be. He gave me one hell of a role model. He laid the blueprints, and I will make sure that I follow them. If I can be the dad that he was, then I will be the best dad ever. I am so sad he's gone, and there's a hole in our family that will never be filled. But I'm most sad about everything that he will miss with us and the kids, because I know he would have been at every event, at every occasion, right there by my side, cheering them on. I love you, Dennis. I will do my best to make you proud and fill those enormous shoes. Thank you for everything you've taught me, and thank you for showing me what it means to be dad. All right, that's it.
I feel him watching on us here. He's hanging out. We all knew his family was first, and he literally did everything for his family always, and encouraged the rest of us to do that as well. And I got to keep it brief, but I gotta say, as one of the head choir brethren, he knew how to direct traffic in the choir too. And he made sure that we all, Nicole sent me a picture yesterday, and it's he and I talking during one of our performances years ago, because we didn't have gray hair. But we're talking, and it's a very earnest conversation he's talking about, and I know he must have been talking about something that was going on during one of the numbers. He did follow up and keep up on all that, and we miss him dearly. I miss him every day. I talk to him on the phone at least almost every day for many, many years on end. Couldn't go through a day without talking to old Coach Drake, as I nicknamed him, and Steve even put a pin on today saying Coach Drake, you know. Dennis had a lot of opinions about everything, including the Broncos, and, you know, he had nicknames for everybody. My favorite one was Coach McDaniels. Yeah, well, old monkey man McDan over there waving around on the sidelines, doesn't know what the hell he's doing, you know. And then he was even getting on John Elway, you know, they got to fire old horsehead. He doesn't know what he's doing, you know. And you know, and he had something to say every game. And just to know he had everything covered because, you know, he and I are from Michigan. We were saddled with rooting for the Detroit Lions our whole life, which anyone who knows anything about football knows that's a losing proposition. So, you know, he had 4 teams. He had the Broncos, which was a very love-hate relationship. He had the Lions, which was mostly a hate relationship, and one where you just let it out there. And then, hey, he piled on. He took on the Packers and the Saints. He loved Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers, and hey, he was guaranteed to go into the playoffs every year. So he had something going on. But anyway, we're going to miss him. I just got to tell a couple of brief stories that were very funny. One of them was the year that we went back to Michigan in the mid-'90s, and I can't remember, Nicole was 7 or 8, and we were supposed to leave in that Dodge van that you guys had, and of course I was late, which everyone here knows is a problem. And our plan was, you know, we were younger then, hey, we're going to drive all the way. You know, we're going to take shifts, and both of us are going to power through, and we're going to make it all the way to Michigan, and then I'm going to grab a bus and head to northern Michigan, and he was going to Adrian. Well, I'm late. I had to wait to get paid. We didn't get out of there until God knows how long. And, you know, and I show up there, and, you know, I get the steely shoulder, you know, and he goes, well, I guess we better get on the road, you know, and so we're driving like hell, you know, middle of the night. We're out there in the middle of Nebraska somewhere, and Dennis, I'm looking at his gas gauge, and I'm going, man, that thing is looking low. I mean, you know, it's late. We got to find some gas. I know this gas gauge, you know. There's miles on this. And I said, I know, but we're, you know, we're in the middle of nowhere. It's the middle of the night, and we don't, you know, we've seen a lot of places closed, you know. And he goes, we can make it to the next one. You know, you made us wait long enough. We got to get going, you know. And I'm going, man, we don't want to run out of gas. I got this. We get 6 miles down the road from the last gas station that we saw, and the sign back there said, next stop, 34 miles. So, you know, 6 miles, done. We're out of gas. We're along I-80 in the middle of the night. You know, Nicole's in the back. She was sleeping at that time. And we just settle back, and Dennis says, well, I got a gas can. I'm going to get out and, you know, we'll hitchhike and get a ride. You stay with Nicole. So he goes out there, you know, and he and I at the time weren't the, you know, how should I put it, GQ-looking guys, you know. Dennis is out there, you know, standing along the road, hitchhiking with a gas can. Nobody's stopping. Nobody's stopping for anybody in the middle of the night on I-80. And finally, I get out there, and I go, I'm sticking my thumb out. Nobody's coming. Finally, and this is back when I could run, you know, I just said, all right, I got to do something. I ran all the way back to that gas station at the previous exit, and I prevailed upon somebody to let me get in the back of their pickup truck and get back up and get some gasoline. And Dennis and I didn't say a word to each other the rest of that trip, all the way back to Michigan. You know, we just powered on through, but we made it. And on the return trip, hey, you know, everything was cool. But my favorite story was I went up to his house all the time to jam with him, and up there on Inspiration in Coal Creek Canyon. And one night I came up, and I had Rob Galloway had sold me his old car, his old Gigmobile, the old Toyota Corolla. And when I bought it, there were, like 8 mats down on the driver's side. And when I bought it, I said, why are there 8 mats down here, piled up on the floor? And he says, well, this car is from Minnesota, and, a lot of rust occurred, and, look, and he pulled it back and showed me. There's this gaping hole, looking down at the road, and so I said, okay, I see why. Well, one night I went up, played guitar with him, and I'm leaving, and it's a pretty ripping snowstorm, and I hit a bump. And the other thing that was funny about that car is that if you hit a bump, the keys didn't stay in the ignition, and I heard something drop to the bottom of the floor, and I'm going, wait, what's that? And then I look at the ignition, and I go, oh no, my keys aren't there, and I look down, and I see white down there. The mats had pushed over, and the keys are gone in the middle of the road as I'm driving down. So I call him on the cell phone, and I just said, you're not going to believe this. And he says, well, you just left my house. Do I need to be sitting down to hear this? And I said, well, maybe. The keys just popped out of the ignition and fell through a hole that's in the bottom of the floor, and I got, and I can't find them, and we got to find the keys, and it's snowing like hell out. And he's just like, really? I don't know what to say. So you want me to get in my truck and come down there in a snowstorm, and we're going to fumble around looking for your keys in the middle of the road? And I go, yeah. So, he comes down, and, we try everything. We can't get the keys. They're gone. I somehow managed to keep the vehicle running and then got down to home and stalled it out. But, I have fond memories of many nights up there playing music with Dennis, and miss him every day, every single day. And, the best advice he ever gave me was when I was going through a very difficult time as a new father under difficult circumstances, and I had a lot of fear. I had a lot of things that I didn't know what I was going to do next. And it was the first night I was coming to a choir rehearsal with Willow as a baby and a diaper bag. And I said, what the hell am I going to do, man? And I go in here, with the diaper bag, and, I'm just beside myself, and he just looks at me and says, well, I'll tell you how this is going to go. You're going to take that diaper bag, you're going to take that child, you're going to walk in that room. If she needs her diaper changed, you're going to change her diaper. You're going to love that child, and that child's going to love you for the rest of your life, and that's how that's going to go. And I just looked at him, and it was like, that's how that's going to go. And that was Dennis, to the point, and God bless you, brother. We know you're looking down on us, and we still think of you every day. Specifically for this, to be at Uncle Dennis's service, and I'm so glad. I'm glad you are going to join me on this.
Thank you. He gave me the nickname Willer.
That's right. That's right.
I still hope it sticks. You're welcome.
Well, he always called her Willer, and Willow would be a little kid, and she'd go, "Daddy, my name's Willow. Why does he call me Willer?" You know? And I said, because that's Uncle Dennis. He's gonna pull your leg on everything. This is he played a couple of songs that he wanted to be sung, and this is the one for his lovely grandchildren, Layla and Jude, and that's what it's called, Layla and Jude. You are the sunshine in my life. You make the cloudy days all seem right. The smile on your face, the touch of your hand. You are the sunshine in my life. You are the rainbows in my life. Your perfect dreams, you are shining bright. You search the unknown with dreams all your own. You are the rainbows in my life. We'll weather the storms, won't ever give in. My heart fills with pride every time you walk by. I'm sorry, I'm a little out of it here. Let me try that.
Let's
Let
do
me
Weather
try
the
that
Storm.
chorus again. Okay, ready? We'll weather the storms, won't ever give in. We'll try and do right from the love down within. My heart fills with pride every time you walk by. You are my future and it's bright. Weather the storms, won't ever give in. We'll try and do right from the love down within. My heart fills with pride every time you walk by. You are my future and it's bright. You are my future and it's bright.
Okay, this is that opportunity for anyone who'd like to share a few words about their relationship to Dennis. And when I say the word few, I mean few. You know, it's a dangerous thing to put a microphone in front of people, but we've already gone pretty long, so be brief and to the point, or the food's going to get cold. All right, so anyone can come up now and share whatever thoughts they'd like to share about their relationship with Dennis. Right to this mic, please.
So, Jack, this is from Dennis. You keep the 9 because 9 is divine. D-man from the woman who you sang next to for 12 years. Thank you for being deep.
I'll just say, you know, my name's Melinda. I was in choir with Dennis for many years. And the best thing I can say about Dennis is, you know, he would be so sarcastic, and then he would say the most profound things. Like one time I was a little frustrated with choir, and he said, "Choir is a chance to practice forgiveness." And I realize that's true about life, but it was so eloquently put. Thank you, Dennis.
Well, I have about a 45-minute speech prepared. Scott took most of the time, so I'll cut it short. One thing I found out in this conversation so far is I am one of the blessed because I had a nickname. Every time I called him, he would merely answer the phone, "The Great Arne." Anytime I saw him, that was that. One thing I have to point out is the video that you saw of the Three Kings. It has a story, and then I'll shut up. Dennis and I talked about this a month or so ago, whatever that was, whenever it was. And he said, "Yeah, well, you know, Jack didn't want me to do that." I told him about it, and he said, no, we're not going to do that. The Three Kings sing the song. So I just said, well, rehearsal, I'm just going to do it. So he comes out, and then we pretty much improvised that, the whole deal. And then after we did the improv of that, Jack goes, yeah, good, leave that in. That's good. And let's face it, Dr. Drake, he is now should have been the director of the show that year, because he was the only one that did anything right. He doesn't know great show business when he sees it. But he regaled me with that story. I didn't even heard it until not too long ago. But yeah, his instincts were pretty good about that, because I think it was one of the highlights of that year's show. That's what everybody tells me anyway. So I miss him, and he was a great friend and a wonderful partner up on that stage. Thank you.
Hi, all. Dennis and I were friends. He was the very first friend that I made when I moved to Colorado in 1976. I can still picture him. He owned Drake Construction, and I can still picture him. I was buying this house over in Aurora, and he's balancing up on the peak of this house, banging nails, and I'm looking on the side, trying to get his attention, say, "Hey, I got a couple of questions." So he put his hammer away, comes down, starts answering all the questions that I had, and we just hit it off. You know, we went from talking about houses to talking about Corvettes. You know, and we both owned Corvettes. As a matter of fact, that 60 that he owned we saw that car. We said, we're going to buy this car, and we're going to share it. We're going to work on it together, and we're going to have fun with it. And he looks at the car. We go look at it, right? And we look at the car, and he says, Ted, I love this car. I want to own it myself. I says, oh, so all right. So he bought that car himself, and we worked on it together, like many cars that we worked on together. I can't tune a note at all, but we got together, and we used to listen to music. We love our sound systems, and we worked on that together. We would spend hours and hours and hours to record music on cassette, and did a lot of things together. We used to get together and roller skate, I can remember, I gotta say this, Ronnie, I gotta say this. I can remember him saying, Ted, I found the woman of my dreams. And I said, you have? I said, wow, because that was, nobody wants to be alone. So anyways, and he brought Ronnie into the picture. She said, Pella, this and that, and we talked all about it, and he was so excited about all that. But anyways, history goes by. I've had a lot of ups and downs with Dennis. I mean, obviously, him and I were different in a lot of ways. We were the same in a lot of ways. He had a lot of friends that I didn't know, and I'm sure they didn't know me, but we cross paths sometimes, now and again. And I miss Dennis. I think of him every day. And I guess really all I can say about my buddy Dennis. Godspeed, Den.
Hi, my name is Jaka, and to be honest, I didn't know Dennis very well, and I don't remember when or where I met him, but as I remember, I met him at the music things, maybe at a music jam, song circle, or maybe at a party at Kathy's or at Susan's house. So two things stay in my mind, in my heart, that he really supported my music. He came twice, as I remember, to my musical showcase. Once when I did it in Lafayette while he lived in Cold Creek. And at that time, when he told me what he had, what he's suffering, then back I did a musical showcase again in Longmont in January 2020, and he came again like, oh my God, Dennis, you are here. I got goosebumps. Then, yeah, so how you feeling? I'm feeling good. And then after I did my music show, I got a very good picture of me and him. He looked very happy. He looked so great. He looked just like in this picture. Then another thing stay in my mind when we did play music together. So like, okay, Denise, it's your turn. Then he started to grab his guitar and say, with his deep voice, saying, hello, I'm Johnny Cash. Something like that. Thank you.
My name's Steve. I'm proud to be up here to speak about Dennis. I joined the choir about 7 years ago. He welcomed me into the choir. I was in the bass section, so as Scott said, I was one of those folks that he directed. He tended to be a prankster. I'd always walk in, I'd have my phone in my right pocket, and at some point in time during the choir rehearsal, it would disappear. He always sat behind me, kind of like he is right now. And so he was always that prankster. One thing he showed us that in his he's still with us, but in his passing and in transition is just to live in gratitude with the people that are in our lives today. I love all you guys. My final conversations with Dennis were, Steve, I can't do the gruff voice. Sorry, Scott. He says, don't feel sorry for me. I had a blessed life, So our last conversations were just telling stories, ones that we experienced together and just ones that that we experienced in the past. He celebrated his final days. He was so happy to live at home. And that was important. And he showed us the way. He showed us how to pass. So anyway, that's all I have. It's in my other pocket. I love you, buddy.
Well, I'm a little too nervous to not have something to read from, so I wrote this last night in honor of Dennis. It's called Dennis, My Roomie. So many memories, it's hard to count or remember them all, but here's a sampling of what I most recall. I think we first started out as friends back in 2010. I had seen him around before then at Unity, but we made, or rather he made, the connection when I told him my good friend Sarah and I were about to do our first open mic in Boulder. He called me on my cell as I walked on Pearl Street to go meet Sarah to perform at Johnny's Cigar Bar, and he offered me a boost and much praise for being so daring and so brave, said he too wanted to start doing the same. This was our first real connection back then, which only grew stronger as the years rolled by. There was a time and I'm not going to read that part, that's for Nicole or whatever. My daughter Megan and her friend Summer became his daughters number 2 and 3 as we continued to meet up regularly, either to watch concerts like Face together or play in music jams with others or each other. He also became close with my son Connor, and I remember a Mother's Day 3 or 4 years ago when Dennis, Connor, and I went to brunch and then they celebrated it with me by playing music together on my patio. As you all know, Dennis's humor at times could verge on the border of crass or crude. Well, he had a nickname for me, of course, as he did for many, which was perhaps meant to be endearing, but ended up sometimes overly used and crude and rude. Hop along, he called me after a foot surgery, and once at a music jam party, he called me that ad nauseum, till many other friends followed suit, and I became the brunt of all the laughs. Needless to say, I was glad when another nickname came my way. In fall of 2017, I believe, Dennis came to me and said, I'm selling my house and will be in between the old and the new, so I will be needing to live with you. Well, I took a big breath and I said, okay, I guess, if that's what you really need to do. And I was a little concerned because of the, nickname thing. Every evening he stayed with me 6 weeks or so, and I was relieved to find what a kind and generous housemate he was indeed. He replaced all my old and faulty wall sockets, installed fire and carbon monoxide detectors, and got me up to code, and raked my patio clean of all the fallen leaves. Every evening we enjoyed a nice chat and sometimes some music playing, and when his stay was over and done and Christmas was about to come, he found his new home and had to leave, but I gave him a mattress to sleep upon and a little artificial Christmas tree. Because I said, you can't be without something on Christmas. And he said, yeah, Layla and Jude were asking me, where's the Christmas tree? So, and ever since then, old Hop Along was gone and a new nickname came to be. One we could both call each other every time he called me, more endearingly, Roomie. Well, Dennis was a dear beloved friend, so like a brother to me. I will miss his deep booming voice, his beautiful singing, our almost weekly phone call check-ins, We had talked about doing an open mic together in 2020. An open mic together in the last year, but then COVID happened. Him backing me on a few songs and me backing him. I will so miss singing the song Rain with him. He had his own version of that Beatles song. And Sunday Morning Coming Down, and Long Black Veil, and Wagon Wheel, and countless other songs we did together. I still feel him with me sometimes when I'm playing, and he will be there with us all when our friends gather, like we used to, all playing together. He will be there singing along in his Johnny Cash voice or leading us. Dennis, I love you, we love you, and we'll see you again one day. Thank you.
I learned a little bit about love from Dennis through my daughter, Amanda, and I asked her if she wanted me to say anything for her, and she didn't get back to me, but I learned that he had a nickname, and I don't know where it came from, but it was just Double D. And so we can all just say, we love you, Double D.
All right, Dennis, I'm going to keep this really brief. I just wrote something just before this, but Dennis was like an angel. I know he was to me. He probably was to a lot of you too. But really, he was like a Harley's angel. And his motorcycle was his wings. He gave nothing but love, but some of it was tough, but it was always the love you needed. He wasn't afraid to be himself, and he knew and accepted himself, and he knew and loved all of you. And he still does. Imagine him and his favorite childhood memories, dancing, fishing, and singing with the other angels. Thanks for blessing our lives, Dennis. We love you so much.
I'll be quick. I've sang in the choir with Dennis for 30 years. I don't really know my life without Dennis here. He called me sis, and he called me every year on my birthday. And there's just something about that phone call. It's like my birthday was real because Dennis called. And I always called him because he was December 6th and I was October 6th. And he really was like a brother. He was like the older brother that just, he teased me all the time. I knew exactly if my weight was good or not good. He made that clear. He was very honest about those kind of things. And so when I was feeling a little heavy, I liked to avoid him in the church until I could get my weight back. But he always said I looked beautiful no matter what. And especially after I had babies, he'd say that was earned weight. But but I can hear his voice in my head, and it will never leave. He just was family, our family, Christmas and Easter, and I can't really imagine having those without him here, but I felt him so much on Easter when we were singing, and I actually thought I saw him that day, and I know we'll see glimpses, because he loved this choir, and he loved this church, and he loved our family, and he loved this community, and he'll always be part of it. And I'm going to miss you in the physical, but I know you're with us in the spiritual, and I love you very much. Love you, Dennis.
Okay, I'm already getting the evil eye, so I'm going to keep this really, really short, okay? I don't even know where to start with Dennis. I could be up here all day talking about Dennis. Hi, Lauren. And I guess the best is to start at the beginning. So the first time I met Dennis was when he showed up at choir one night with a diaper bag and a 2-year-old. And he comes into choir. I said, "Hi, I'm Bruce." He goes, "Hey, I'm Dennis." He goes, "What's it like to sing in this choir?" I said, "You got to have a pretty thick skin to sing in this choir." And, But what's there to say about Dennis that we all don't already know, you know? I mean, we played guitar together after choir practice, night after night with Scott, and they got me playing the guitar. So I'm going to keep it real short and say, anybody wants to know more about Dennis, come and see me. Yeah.
You going to say something?
Yes, I do. When we came to Boulder, you know, my whole thing had always been music. I'd been brought up singing on radio and television all the time as a child, and we were like, people say, what was your life like? I said, like Judy Garland's without the money, you know. I had no life but entertainment, you know, and I was in choir. It was a Methodist church. I was in junior choir and senior choir, so I spent 4 hours every Sunday going to be in these choirs, and then a Sunday school in between. So it was just in rehearsing. And so it was like a work thing that I did that was all involved in music. So when we got into the ministry, I would say we, because the wife's always part of the whole thing, you know, and got here and decided to start a choir. No auditioning. I didn't believe in audition. I believe everybody can sing. It's the spirit I wanted, and the people that came through the choir, it was a spirit. And we tackled music that had heart. It had to have something that had a zing in it, and we did stuff that had a zing. And they came through unbelievably, and it's been years and years of different people coming in and doing the most magical things happening. It's all spirit, because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But anyway, it was all great, and it continues to be. And all I can say is Dennis would be there every Thursday, and when we did practices, he'd show up, because when we did Easter or Christmas, it was like almost every night for 2 weeks. And I had the most dedicated choir. But he was here, and as soon as Scott would come in, we'd have the comedy routine for like 10 minutes, which everybody appreciated, because it was that drive that was going on. And all of a sudden it stopped, and everybody would be joking and stuff, and then we go back to the drive again. So I just want to thank Dennis for being such a gift to the choir and everybody that has been part of this choir. I mean, I love you all. You're all magnificent, and everybody brought something that was different to the choir, different voices, different challenges. It was, you know, we all were a family every time we got together. So I just thank you for you, and when Dennis came, and Scott, and Larry Morrison, and all the people that are here, thank you so much. What a wonderful experience you all are. I'm so blessed.
Okay, the fellowship hall is set up so that we have tables so you can sit around and talk and share, and some of the things you may not have had the opportunity to get out, you'll be able to get out when we have our reception. But right now, I want to invite Rick Patterson up here, who's going to share It's a Wonderful World, which is kind of appropriate for our experience here today.
I'm honored Jack let me use the pulpit. Normally when Arnie and I get up close to the pulpit, Jack leaves the stage. So you have 2 minutes left. Oh. Well, it's a good thing the song's only 1.5 minutes. I do have one thing to say about Dennis. Dennis was very accomplished at many things, but Dennis did have one nemesis, and I always was the person that had to help him with his nemesis. So Dennis and a computer did not get along that well, and I would get calls quite often. And so finally I had worked on his computer and worked on it, and he says, I just don't. He said, what is the problem with this computer? And I said, the user. One time I asked him if he still had his box, and he said, well, what do I need that for? I said, put the laptop back in the box and send it back to the manufacturer. I said, you're better off with an Etch-a-Sketch. So this song, many people know. I'm encouraging you to sing along. I know anytime I'm listening to it, I'm always mouthing the words and stuff like that, so feel free to sing along. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, too pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends sharing hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry. I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
We have two songs and we'll conclude the service. So let's have the choir come up. be by Sierra Samuel. What? As we prepare for this, I'd just like to read a final benediction. He has put on invisibility. Dear Lord, I cannot see, but this I know. Although the road ascends and passes from my sight, that there will be no night, that you will take him by the hand and lead him on along the road of life that never ends, and he will find it is not death, but dawn. I do not doubt that you are there as he, and you will hold him dear. Our life did not begin with birth. It is not of the earth. And this that we call death is no more than the opening and closing of a door. And in your house, how many rooms must be beyond this one where we rest momently? Dear Lord, I thank you for the faith that frees, the love that knows it cannot lose its own, the love that knowing through the shadows sees that you and he and I are ever one.
When I open myself to the truth of the light, I see what's wrong in the world, it's just in my mind. I can't do it on my own, but I know that I've gotta just try. Keeping the faith that we're all gonna open our eyes. Sometimes I wonder how we are going to get from sadness and anger to bliss, from doubt and destruction to love. Then I think of the power that comes from belief. I know we'll get some relief from this hate and rise up to freedom. We'll rise up to freedom. Yes, we will rise. We're all gonna rise up to freedom. Rise up to joy, up to bliss, up to love. And it seems like the darkest night of my life, when I've given up hope, given into my fear, and I don't know if I'll survive. But then angels come and tell me to get up and fly. Then I'm never alone, I am one, and we're all gonna rise. We're gonna rise up to freedom. Rise.
On behalf of Dennis and Nicole and his family, you're all invited to join us in Fellowship Hall for a reception.